Val Hoyle is Oregon's labor commissioner and a former House Majority Leader. The Democrat from Springfield is running for Congress looking to win Oregon's 4th congressional district. It's being vacated by longtime Congressman Peter DeFazio, who is retiring. Val Hoyle, welcome to Eye on Northwest Politics.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me here today.
Let's talk about Oregon's labor market for a moment here. Oregon's unemployment rate, 4% now. That's the lowest since before the pandemic. Are we back when it comes to employment in Oregon?
I think this is an opportunity for us. When I talk to workers, when I talk to employers, what is very clear is for many years what we've had is a disconnect between the training that we're providing for workers and the jobs that are available. So I don't oversee the employment department, but I do oversee the apprenticeship and training division for the state. So we certify apprenticeship programs. And if you think about apprenticeship, it's like a triangle where you have an industry standard and then paid supervised on the job training and certified classroom instruction. And for the 50% of jobs that need more than a high school degree and less than a college degree, this model can be utilized. And I'm very proud with Director Lisa Ransom, who runs our apprenticeship and training division, that we've been a national leader in expanding apprenticeship and training both inside and outside the building and construction trades. We just got approved to start a new surgical technician apprenticeship program, behavioral health apprenticeship program, professional firefighter apprenticeship program. And we're also, as you may know, Labor Secretary Marty Walsh was recently here, and we're working with his office to do everything we can do to expand this model.
Let's talk about U.S. Secretary Marty Walsh recently visiting Oregon. He did praise the state's efforts to retrain workers for future jobs. This is under the governor's Future Ready Oregon plan. You mentioned some of the sectors, but what sectors are we specifically talking about in terms of future training, and will those actually be the jobs of the future?
So that's an excellent question. With Future Ready Oregon, what we're doing is actually focusing on jobs and training within the healthcare industry, which is an expanding industry where we absolutely need to train workforce, and within manufacturing. So Secretary Walsh and Congresswoman Bonamici and I toured the Oregon Manufacturing Innovation Center in Scappoose, Oregon, and talked about how we can actually train young people for the jobs of the future, working with employers in those sectors to find out what they need. These are really good paying jobs that are being unfilled because we don't have the direct training. But the apprenticeship model allows people to earn while they learn, which means that for those people who can't afford to work for free, we end up having a workforce that looks like the communities that they live in. And it is an excellent opportunity to have people learn a skill without having a mountain of debt.
Leisure and hospitality took a big hit during the pandemic. What are we seeing in those industries now?
So I've actually worked with, during the pandemic, with the Oregon Restaurant and Lodging Association in setting up a program that allowed people, while the hospitality industry was just starting, to earn unemployment benefits while they worked part-time to get restaurants and hotels up and running. We're actually working with them. They have some really great training programs, whether it's in cooking or it's in hospitality management. So what I know on the coast, when I talk to people there, the biggest issue for them to find these jobs in these industries is that there's a lack of housing. I mean, a tremendous lack of housing throughout the United States, throughout our state, but on the coast, it's dire, and not just affordable housing, any housing at all whatsoever. So we have to address these issues in a multifaceted way.
Let's talk campaign here. Congressman DeFazio has endorsed you to replace him. Why did you decide to run for Congress? Because I know you entered the race a little late.
Right. Well, we've had for 36 years an incredibly strong voice for the 4th Congressional District. And for those people that don't know, that district includes now Curry, Coos County, Douglas County, out to Roseburg, Lane County, Benton County, and Lincoln County. It's 250 miles of the coast. And Peter DeFazio, as Chair of Transportation and Infrastructure, has done tremendous work and been a strong voice for our community that, areas of our community that often get overlooked. He decided to retire, and I had to look long and hard. I've lived, raised my children, worked in this community, have had the great pleasure to represent this community in the House and the entire state as labor commissioner. And I feel like I have the skill set. I understand the community. I earned Peter DeFazio's endorsement because he feels like I'm the strongest candidate with the background to be an effective, strong voice for the 4th Congressional District.
And in talking about being an effective voice, what would your priorities be in Washington, D.C. should you win this race?
Uh, Great question. What I've always done, which is to fight for working families. So everything from what we did in the legislature to raise the minimum wage, enact paid family leave, work on reducing the cost and availability of housing. That's critical. Cost and quality of childcare, jobs in our community. So that's one, working families. On climate, we need to urgently transition to a clean energy economy, but in a way that doesn't leave workers and communities behind. And then finally, infrastructure. There is a good deal of money and investment that will be coming through Biden's infrastructure bill. It is the largest infrastructure investment that we've seen since Eisenhower. And I want to make sure that that money comes to Oregon and comes to the 4th Congressional District, whether it's building up levees, and the levee in Newport or in Springfield, or really exciting opportunities for a container port in Coos Bay and offshore wind and upgrading our rail system. So I would like to follow Peter DeFazio's legacy in being a strong voice to bring infrastructure investment and jobs to this district. And as part of that, having apprenticeship programs to train the future workforce.
Assuming you win the nomination, it looks like your Republican opponent will be Alex Garlatos. He pulled 46% of the vote when he lost to DeFazio in 2020. Democrats only have a 9-seat majority in the House. 15 House seats flipped to the Republicans last time around. So how important is it that a Democrat win this 4th Congressional District race?
I think that it's important that we continue having a strong voice. And Peter DeFazio is a Democrat that fights for working people in urban and rural areas. I have had a history of doing the same thing. I think that my vision for the district fits what people want and what people need because I'm effective. And I believe that government should work and we should support support jobs and the economy. I think what I have seen is that, again, the kind of leadership that we had and the need to protect democracy and access to the ballot, the integrity of our elections is critical right now. And I believe that I'm the right person to continue having that strong representation. I also think that keeping the majority in the House for Democrats is really critical. As we've seen, we've got people in the Republican Party who supported overturning a duly elected president and undermining democracy. And I just think we can't stand for that.
Labor Commissioner Val Hoyle, thanks for joining me on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thank you.